Hello and welcome back to Saint News. Today coming up we are covering the topic of the Triads terrorising Los Santos. We're going to be having interviews with multiple law enforcement higher-ups from LSPD, BCSO gang units and news to get their opinions on the matter and what agencies are doing in response. On top of this, we're also going to be having a debate between two specialists on the incidents. And with that, let's not waste a second to get straight into it with our reporter on the ground, Connor Buren.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Kiro Mir with the Los Santos Police Department, also a active LSPD SWAT operator.
Name is Memphis Rains. I'm a staff sergeant within LSPD, and I mostly overlook patrol operations for officers, acting as a supervisor, and canine operations within LSPD.
Lieutenant Thibault, News Division.
I'm with the BCSO gang unit.
Okay, in your opinion, how significant is the threat posed by the Triad Syndicate's reappearance to law enforcement departments?
Pretty violent. Their response, they're quick to kill, and that's why we've launched multiple protection policies to ensure that our deputies remain the safest out there as they can.
Overall, it's been quite severe with what's happened in the past couple of days. With there's been lots of mass shootings and with the Triads, and a lot of confrontations that have ended violently.
So in a statement released recently by the Triads, they stated that the citizens of San Andreas are not going to be the targets of attacks. Do you believe that the Triads are telling the truth when they say this, or how personally do you believe that the citizens of the state should be afraid?
Yeah, they're not gunning for the citizens, they're gunning for the law enforcement.
I would say anybody who is willing to walk into a public building and start opening fire on people who had nothing to do with anything that was upsetting you, they're just going about their daily business, doing what they need to do on a day-to-day. That is a threat to every civilian's life in this city, in this state, and the nation as a whole. If you are willing to strap on a vest, grab a weapon, and start shooting people to send a message, you are a threat to every person's daily lives. And that is not criminal activity, that is terrorism in and of itself.
They're cold-blooded killers. They don't care what you do, who you believe in. If you stand in their way or stand against them, they will kill you. They should be scared.
Multiple times now the Triads have referred to a war. Do you see a possibility where troops are being deployed on the streets of Los Santos?
In terms of what the Triads are doing out here, it doesn't elicit a response from a military force. By them saying that they're trying to start a war that's, in my opinion, simply just a PR grab.
Somehow get a mass recruitment, that if possible might be, but right now the situation is looking on the better side for us.
Why do you think so many people are flocking to join the Triads? Do you think that it's possible that the sentiment of anti-corruption and a lack of belief in our law enforcement is truly widespread across the civilian population? And if so, why do you think that's the issue?
No, I think it's a bunch of punks who want to shoot at cops and think that they can get away with it if they're in a bigger gang that we can't hunt down. But it's simply just not true. We're going to hunt you down. We're going to find you. Hell, we already have half a dozen officers implanted in the Triad. We're just waiting on the perfect time.
People like a cause that they can relate to, and maybe there's some sort of relation in the Triads and what they're saying. Like I said earlier, a lot of what we see in the city nowadays is petty, low-level crime. That means a lot of tickets, a lot of misdemeanor arrests, and even some smaller felony arrests. And to people and individuals who are repeat offenders like that, it's a bigger calling to them to find somebody that they can relate to, in that where they feel that they've been attacked by law enforcement or targeted by law enforcement in that sort of senses. For individuals like that in the city, it creates a unified enemy. And when you have a unified enemy, like, hey, this is the guy who came after me, it makes things easier to place blame.
Many people believe that they're being left in the dark. Is there anything that you can share with us that law enforcement agencies are currently doing in response to the organisation?
Enough I can't really say about with the current investigation that's going on.
We've launched an offensive strike and we've already carried out 13 successful search warrants, as well as we're seizing all assets and all property. We're going to squeeze them till they die.
The Triads themselves are organizing themselves and have been designated as a domestic terrorist organization. It requires a response of multi-level jurisdictions, and across San Andreas, we are seeing that. BCSO has mobilized their SWAT units to respond to multiple different ones. LSPD has enacted new protocols for both patrol and TAC units when they're operating in and out of the city, and LSSD has done the same.
We've had 35 plus arrests involving Triad members and 17 sting operations within the last 2 days.
So there's been a noticeable increase in violent crimes and gang activity in the county as well as the Triads down in the city. Do you believe that this could be because of a weak response to the Triad situation and more gangs and criminals becoming more confident?
I think it's just criminals being bored and trying to make themselves known.
Okay, so you don't think there's any relevance of the gangs up here to the Triads?
No, not at all.
I think more crimes, like more violence that happen up in the county is because a lot more police resources have been focused to the Triads and what they've been up to recently down here. So it's not so more resources have been focused down here. So the county people are trying to take advantage of that. But I believe, from what I do know, I believe the county are combating the crimes that are happening up in there currently.
Do you see a future in any possible way that the Triads could win against law enforcement agencies?
Absolutely not. They're a terrorist organization. We do not stand for terrorists, nor will we ever allow terrorism to take over our city.
Personal opinion, I do not see that they will. Like any other large crime organization, eventually it will topple.
The fact that I can sit here and I can have this conversation with you without feeling the need of my life being threatened or my life going to be targeted anywhere after this interview, because I'm really not afraid after this. If this airs, I'm not afraid. They can come by and come talk to me by all means, or they can do whatever they want to me, the same as they did the commander. And I believe the commander would tell you the same thing if he were here now. We are not afraid. We're not going to back down. And if you're going to come and threaten the city and threaten the people of this state with violence, we're going to respond with violence, and we're going to put that down. So no, I don't think you're going to win any situation with the way that they're going to bat about it.
Some wise spoken words there from those gentlemen. We're now going to switch over to the debate room where we're going to have a word with our couple specialists.
The action ends with Call of Duty.
Now, Connor, I think it's clear that this new Triad is not something to be taken lightly and not something that's going to go away like some of these other motorcycle clubs. I mean, it is a giant entity facing our law enforcement agencies that are already understaffed and under-budgeted. I mean, I just don't see how we're going to cope with this, and I think that there is an actual chance where they could be victorious. Okay, Connor, well, you can just shut the hell up, because this Triad is nothing more than some of the other gangs. It will be dealt with in the exact same way. I just don't see it getting anywhere. It doesn't have the manpower to get anywhere. It's just a bunch of criminals, like these officers have been saying, that just want an excuse to shoot people and think that they can get away with it, which they will not, because the LSPD, BCSO, and local agencies and all of the other police agencies in the city will crack down on them. It's just a matter of time. And I'm sorry, but I think that's actually genuinely where you're wrong, because I think the citizens of San Andreas are fed up and have had enough of some of the corruption. Okay, well, what corruption exactly are you on about? Because the way I see it, crime rates in LS are down. Sure, the county aren't, but the county is Wild West, okay? It doesn't, oh, the county doesn't count. Well, it's still a part of San Andreas. And honestly, I think that the citizens should rally behind this cause, to be honest. So you're suggesting that we all become criminals now? No, I'm not suggesting we become criminals. I'm just suggesting that there might be a better way than the current government that we're relying on to protect us, which they're not doing a very good job of. I mean, I see corruption all the time. Heck, I was sat in the police station the other day, the Mission Row LSPD. I was sat there and I got robbed at gunpoint in the PD. I literally got kidnapped in the PD. That is not a lie. I generally got taken outside at gunpoint out of the PD, and there was not a single officer. And then I had to sit on the side of the road and wait a good 5-10 minutes before an officer responded and came and picked me up. It was absolutely outrageous. Okay, right, well, that is just one instance, and I think that the LSPD is doing a fantastic job across the city. And you idiots, I'm sorry to say that, but you are all idiots, because all you want is, like these officers say, a cause to rally behind, and this cause is not even going to go very far. I just don't see that happening. Sure, they've got better membership than some other gangs, but that is pretty much it. They're untrained lunatics with guns. I mean, like half of America at the minute. And LSPD will crack down on them. We're already seeing it. I mean, these officers have been saying we have undercover units already in place to take down some of these threats. Oh, undercover units in place. Is that coming from the officer that had to blur his face because he was afraid? Is that what it? He was not afraid. He just wants to keep this Triad in the dark. That's all it is. And I don't see them going much further than just being a barely organized crime unit. They're not going to get anywhere. They won't get anywhere, and they will be dealt with in according manner with violence. with violence. Okay, well, if you guys are only wanting violence and to crack down on them, then why should you expect nothing less than violence in return? Because that's exactly what's happening. We're seeing the citizens, and sure, some criminals, just getting fed up with the police system in our society, and they are rising up, and they are doing it behind this triad. Then fair enough, that's the way that it's got to be done. Jesus Christ, Connor, you're just not going to understand this, are you? This triad is not going to get anywhere. They're just a bunch of lunatics, and they will be dealt with as soon as well. Oh my God! Someone's Jesus! Alright, San Andreas, I've been your host Connor Bewick, and I'm wishing you all a very safe time in these unsafe times. Have a good one.
First off, I'm insecure. Secondly, immature, naive, unsure, mentally miniature. In my head, I overthink. Thin ice, been on the brink, throwing everything but the kitchen sink. I'm willing to try anything.